Hi there, welcome back to Gib84 Gaming, and this is going to be a bit of a VR extravaganza. So I'm going to try and put in 3 VR responses into one video, just because getting back to work and everything opening back up has been a little bit time consuming, so I've missed out a lot of VRs, so I want to try and stick these 3 in here. So the first one would be to Generation Pixel. So he asked for the golden year in gaming, and I've seen a lot of people doing this. I've seen Retrobait, and I've seen Mark MG, Jolly Slasher Gaming. There's been a few other people that have done this as well. So the year that I'm going to pick for this particular question, so it was a close one. I was going to pick, I think it was 98 with the release of Resident Evil 2. I think that was the first game I was ever hyped for, but I've decided to go for 2001, and the reason for that is because the game that I'm going to pick is a game that I was extremely hyped for. This game I was so hyped for, reading all the magazines, watching all the videos. But I'll start off with the album 2001. So back in 2001 was a year before I started full-time work, so I was still a kind of kid kicking about the streets, and I was into my skating, my aggressive inline skating. So a big influence there was Blink-182, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. So I had that was a brilliant album, and it's just the sounds of my youth and my time in 2001, skating along the beach and things like that, and down up in the air in the skate park. And yeah, Blink-182, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. That was a quality album. I don't have any CD albums here to show you, but that would be the album I would pick. For the movie I would pick, so this isn't the greatest movie, but it's just a movie that I remember watching a lot with my friends. It's especially like a drunken movie. When you get home after the pub, you're just stuck on a movie, and the movie was 13 Ghosts. It was a class film. I really enjoyed 13 Ghosts. This is the VHS version of it. The DVD version of it was brilliant, because I remember there was like an extras in the extras menu. You could go into there and you could see all the backstories of all the ghosts, and you could see their origins and where they came from, how they came to be. And it's a brilliant movie. And my big brother, he would argue that Matthew Lillard is one of the best actors of all time, because he's just so versatile. You see him in a lot of things. You've seen him in the Scream movie. You've seen him in 13 Ghosts, Scooby-Doo. Yeah, he's not the best actor of all time, but he was a pretty good actor. But the game for 2001 that I wanted to pick was because the first game was so inspirational, and it's a massive game, one of the best games of all time. And I don't think they topped it with this game, but I think that this game did really well in its own right, and it's a fantastic game. But I remember I got a PlayStation magazine, and it came with a VHS, and the VHS was just a big trailer and making of kind of thing of this game. And that game is Metal Gear Solid 2, The Sons of Liberty. So this is the Xbox version. I did have the PS2 version, but I traded that a wee while ago for a bunch of that and other things. I traded for a bunch of PS1 games and stuff like that. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2, what a game. I mean, it kind of threw you off, because the trailer and even the gameplay demo of it, you were Snake on the tanker. But then when you got to buy the game and you started to play it, you got to the end of the tanker, and then you just went a brand new character and riding. And that was really, I don't know, was it disappointing? I think it was a bit disappointing at the time, because you just wanted to be Snake, but it was cool to be riding as well, because you got to see Snake from a different perspective, and you got to see him. One bit that sticks out is when you're on the the big shell, when you're on the struts, and he's sniping up in one of the towers, and you can use a directional microphone. You can hear him talking to himself, so it's really cool to see Snake from a different point of view. And riding wasn't all that bad. I think he was actually pretty cool. The story in the game was absolutely phenomenal and kind of ahead of its time as well. But yeah, that would be my year, 2001. with Blink 182, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, with 13 Ghosts. Not the greatest movie, but I really enjoyed it. Another movie, but I don't know if it was out at the same time, would be Dog Soldiers. I don't know when that was out, but that's another drunken movie we used to enjoy watching when we were steaming and getting home from the pub. And yeah, sorry, the game would be Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. So that was VR Response 1 to Stuart at Generation Pixel. VR 2 is going to be to Nate at the Game Shack, and he said, what is retro? So like everyone, they've all got their own opinions on what is retro, and should something like the 7th gen be classed as retro, and like PS3, the Xbox 360, the Wii. I wouldn't class them as retro quite yet, and the reason I wouldn't class them as retro is because the games still look and play, like mechanically they play brilliantly. I think Robert Essex, Retro Gamer, he mentioned how there hasn't been that leap between the PS3 and PS4, and I would agree with that. So what I would class as retro would be PS2, Xbox and GameCube and prior. The main reason for that would be because I think the jump between PS2 and PS3 was considerable. I think you got a lot of games in the PS2. Like I've been playing a lot of PS2 recently as well, and they're all fine. They all play okay, but they lack the kind of fluidity that the PS3 and onwards had. I mean, the prime example would be 13 on the PS2. I just finished that recently, and it's a great first-person shooter, and I love cel-shaded games. But I just didn't think it was smooth enough compared to a PS3 first-person shooter. You know, the right stick, the dead zone on it didn't feel fluid or intuitive in any way, but it was still a really, really good game, and I did enjoy it for what it was. And then when the PS3 came along, you got all different types of different gaming mechanics and different gaming engines. Like a good example would be some Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 were absolutely brilliant games, and they still play great to this day. But when you got to the PS3 and they released Ground Zeroes, and then they released the Phantom Pain on PS4, on PS3, I can't remember. But yeah, the whole gaming engine changed, and it changed going forward. The way the game played was just a lot smoother. It was a more over the shoulder kind of camera angle, whereas Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 were still kind of above the character, the classic Metal Gear Solid kind of camera angles and things like that. So yeah, sorry, big ramble there, but yeah, PS2 for me and prior would be retro. PS3 is not quite retro yet, because I think the games are still very playable to this day. They're not, if you're playing PS4, maybe even PS5, and you go back to PS3, it's not that bad. Xbox 360, you know, recently I finished as well Binary Domain on the PS3, and that game was absolutely brilliant, absolutely stunning game, loved it to bits. And it didn't feel any different from playing a PS4 game, to be honest with you. Maybe a little bit frame rate, the frame rate was a bit low, but yeah, PS2 and before would be retro for me. That's my opinion. And then VR number 3, a more recent one, is Nerdygazer, Lee Nerdygazer, asking about your favourite controller. So my favourite controller would have to be, and always will be, as a Sony pony, would be PlayStation controller. The one I've got here is the PS4 controller. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. You know, they've all stayed very similar, very true to what the original PlayStation controller was. Obviously, the original PlayStation controller didn't have the dual sticks, but I mean, if you take the sticks away, it still looks like a PS1 controller. Yeah, PlayStation controllers will always be my favourite controllers. They just fit in your hand so nice. The PS4 ones with the triggers. I'm really excited to try the PS5. My big brother got a PS5 recently, so I'm dying to get down to his house to have a wee shot of it and see what it's all about. But yeah, the PlayStation controller will always be my go-to controller. So this one here is the PS4 controller, and it's a little bit knackered. It still works. In this house we call it the sticky controller because I'm sure Jay has spilt juice on it at some point because the touchpad's a bit knackered. But it still works fine, and this is a controller that I use with the PSTV. So this one just stays up in the game room, and we've got other controllers downstairs to play 3-player with. But I would also like to throw in this one just for a quick mention, and it's the GameCube controller. It looks really weird, but I think it's a really good controller, and I think it fits really well in your hand, especially with the triggers up here. You know, they're just grooved nicely to fit your fingers into it, and then you get your face buttons. So you've got the A button here, but it's really cool with the kidney shaped buttons, the X and the Y. They're kind of like just offset from the A, so it just they just feel right to control with and to press. And the analog stick was brilliant, the C stick was great. So yeah, the GameCube controller is quite underrated. I really enjoy using this. I think it's really comfortable. Yeah, so that is my choice. PlayStation controllers all the way. Love PlayStation controllers. Yeah, that's my answer for Lee. The best controller for me, in my opinion, is PlayStation. So that was 3 quick VRs. I do apologise for not making videos individually for you guys. Life and work kind of get in the way sometimes, so I had to just kind of bung them all into one VR extravaganza. So I hope I've answered them, and I hope you guys enjoy them. Cheers guys, take care.